podcast is brought to you by PodPro Australia.
Social media, Google, email marketing, systems, website traffic, and the endless content creation that comes with marketing. It's overwhelming, right? Say goodbye to endless stress and hello to clarity with the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. In this podcast, I will share with you fast and free practical methods to help you manage, monetize, and market your business, all infused with a healthy dose of motivation. Let's do this. Hey, this is Chantal Gerardy from another episode of the Meaningful Marketing Podcast. And today I have Matthew Wyatt with us from Tech Talk. We're going to be talking about everything to do with sales and marketing strategies in the SaaS and B2B space. Thank you so much for joining us, Matthew.
An absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So for those of us out there that don't understand what SaaS is or what B2B is, could you just briefly explain to us who exactly it is that you work with?
Got it. So my best clients are the ones that have got a great product. They know how to deliver the value to their clients, and now they want to put the foot down on the accelerator at the front end of the business. They want to really ramp up their sales and marketing. They know they've got a good product. So the types of businesses I'm working with are the ones that have solved a big problem inside businesses for themselves. So for example, one of my clients is a charity software business. So they do the CRM, the fundraising function for that. Another one might be a enterprise data warehouse. So really technical stuff. And they need to make it sound interesting in a marketing space. And so often engineers trying to sell to engineers, it becomes, who can say the more technical thing and really over bake the technicalities of it. Whereas really in trying to attract customers, they're not able to do that. Well, they're not able to express their value without really getting too deep. And that's why they engage me. I've got a bit of a technical background, started my first tech business when I was 22. So I've got that background. I can talk their talk, but then I can switch over and talk the marketing talk.
Yeah, excellent. So we're talking about the tech space.
Yep.
We're talking about software companies.
Yes.
We're talking about in the millions.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep,
yeah,
and they're selling B2B.
Yeah, that's right. They're always selling B2B. B2C is a completely different animal.
Yeah, 100%. So you say that they're usually hitting the ceiling around that $2 million space.
Yep.
Okay, so what usually starts to happen in that space where you then become the answer?
So they would often have recurring revenue happening. They have decided they want to get big. There's plenty of businesses at $2 million. They're reasonably profitable. They're happy. They don't come to me. The ones that go, well, I want to get to 10, 20, potentially raise capital, go overseas. I've got one client at the moment who's trying to go overseas, and they need $5-6 million of capital. And the first thing the VC says is, show me your sales and marketing engine, because what they want to invest in is a business that they can put in $1 million and they're going to get out 5 or 10. They need to make bets, and that's what they call it in VC world, in private capital, private equity world. They make bets of millions of dollars, and then they've got to make sure those bets pay off. So that's when they come to me and they go, right, we need to build machinery. They know how to build software. They know how to deliver the software. It's now time to build the machinery about selling the software.
Awesome. So I always say that marketing is about what you do that's different to everybody else. So what is your point of difference or the way that you do things that's differently in the space?
Got it. Well, first of all, I've had my own tech business for many years, and I exited, had a year off in living in Bali, and then came back. I was asked to help a friend of mine, run their sales team, fix their sales team up. Over that time, I went from consulting gig to consulting gig. I was tipped into various businesses by businesses like KPMG and Deloitte. When they had a smaller business who needed sales and marketing, I was tipped in. So I was just a consultant, a hired gun. I would go into businesses, either hire or fire the sales team, move them around. But what I found is that the marketing machine that was occurring, or the marketers they would bring in, didn't have the vocabulary or the background to make an enterprise data warehouse sound interesting, or an ERP sound interesting. So we make sure that we couch it in a certain way so it is valuable and is marketable out there in the world. So what we do specifically is I do still hark back to my consulting roots, which is I start an engagement always with a piece of consulting, always understand what they're trying to do. We don't just understand the demographics, because a lot of people get stuck in we sell to this type of business at this type of level with this number of employees. And that's really very, very surface level. What we do is we go into the psychographics. And we also think about a sale in B2B, because in B2C, it's a person who wants to buy some sunglasses. They buy sunglasses. They walk past eye candy. Here's some sunglasses. And so what we do is we think about a sale as a relay race. So the person that has the baton on the first part of the relay race, the baton might cross the line, but that person doesn't. So what we think about in a sale in a B2B environment is that you might enter the business through a project management space and then sell to the CEO. And so, but if you only ever talk to the project management level, you're going to miss out on the sale because you're not talking to the right value proposition. But if you only ever aim at the CEO, well, the CEO's got better things to do. They're worried about market share. They're worried about product. They're worried about the board and what the board expects from them. They're not interested in solving that logistics issue that happens at the warehouse. So we have to make sure that we're communicating at every level of the organization to create a value prop that might be different from warehouse to CEO.
So I think that's so important, understanding that there clearly is a massive difference between B2C and B2B.
Massive.
And making sure that you as an expert in the B2B space understands that customer journey, understands the touch points and where they need to happen in that specific space, and then getting in front of the right people with the right content, talking in the right language. I'm loving all of that. Now, one of the things earlier that you said as well is that you noticed that there was a gap between the sales and the marketing. And I know with a lot of the clients that I work with, often I'll see the sales team will be running off in one direction, the marketing people are running off in one direction. They very rarely actually connect and talk and are on the same page. So I loved what you shared earlier about some of the issues that you've seen and how you've been able to overcome those issues.
Chantal, the first version of this business was called Samplant, terrible name. It was called Sales and Marketing Playing Nicely. So that was the name of the business. Obviously, we didn't keep going with that name, but we were trying to create a cohesion, because in my first business, my first tech business, the sales team, we had about 8 salespeople, we had marketing people. We always brought those together. We always had joint meetings, and it was never a situation where the salespeople think the marketing people are over here doing arts and crafts and the salespeople are over here doing lunch and golf. So we never allowed that to occur. We created a situation where everybody had KPIs and really created an environment of sharing. So if a salesperson had got some feedback, they went to the marketing said, we're doing this, this, and this. There was never any animosity there. But so often in the businesses I go into, salespeople are doing one thing, marketing people are doing another. The leads are weak. You can't close. It depends on who you're talking to and what's going on. You're absolutely right. So we need to bring those two teams together. And that's what my business does, is we actually bring that cohesive nature together. We actually deliver the consulting piece as one piece of work. And then we say, this is how it's going to work. But funnily enough, marketing, what I've noticed over the course of the last couple of years, is marketing is becoming more and more important to get right consistently over time, because customers are really in a situation now where they're doing a lot of homework. They will, they're on their phones and they're on their various platforms. And if you're not there, if you're not showing up, if you're not adding value consistently, you're going to lose the sale because somebody else will.
Oh, we were talking about this earlier, and how the touch points are becoming so much, more important right now. Having a podcast, having a blog, short form content, long form content, making sure that we're ticking off all those boxes so that you are forefront of mind, you're standing out for your competitors, and that when people go and they do their due diligence and their homework, that you're the one who keeps coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so even Google has come out with some research recently, and they've called it the messy middle. So back in the day, I started my first business when I was 22 in 1999. If anybody wants to do the math, they can. But we would put an advert in the newspaper. Yes, newspaper. We would put an advert in the newspaper, and then people would phone the 1-800 number, and then the salesperson would do all the things. They would talk about existing customers' success stories. They would demonstrate the product. They would create trust and rapport and all of those things, and then ask the person to purchase. And that could be a multi-week process, could be multi-month, depends on. But today, people become aware of the business, and then they don't engage. They're going to go to your LinkedIn page. They're going to go to your Facebook page. They might download one of your documents, but never answer the phone if you try to follow them up. They will. And I've actually changed my attitude on that recently. I used to always say, any lead that comes in, jump on them like a seagull on a chip. You want to get straight into it. But it's no longer the case. We're generating hundreds and hundreds of leads a week or a month, and more a month for clients. And really, the pickup rate is in the single digits. It's really ridiculous how low the number of people will actually pick up the phone, even if they give you a phone number on whatever platform it might be. So what we do now is we continue to nurture them through that process. So the messy middle is email, valuable content, podcast, webinars. The last 2 customers that I've onboarded said, we sat down as a group, and that was the couple of salespeople, the marketing person and the CEO, sat down and watched a couple of my webinars. I do a webinar on the last Thursday of every month. That means they've been exposed to a dozen hours of my content before making a call, before engaging with me at that point. Now, having said that, I'm not saying sales is less important. Sales is less engaged, but the sales role, the person has to be so good, because it used to be you could walk in and look around and go, well, I see you went fishing or you like camping, and you could just chat crap about that sort of stuff. That's no longer the case. Competence is the new rapport, and you need to take control of the conversation straight away and add value all the way through that conversation by having the customer really understand their problem we're trying to solve and magnify the issue. At that point, you can ask them to move forward, but not until they've done all this work and then also you've been a professional salesperson.
Oh, love all of that. So content marketing is becoming so much more important. And, I spoke earlier about how, sometimes I get sales calls from businesses and they go, I just want to do ads and get a client, but they don't do any content marketing. Or they'll say something like, no, I don't want to do a webinar. No, I don't want to do a podcast. No, I don't want to do a blog. I just want leads.
Can't I just pay for leads?
Yeah, can I pay you for leads? Or can you just do appointment setting? And I'm like, no one is going to be interested in you. You've got to be the voice out there. You've got to be seen. You've got to be the voice. There has to be consistency in your messaging continually, and then they'll come to you. I mean, I've had the same thing this week. Somebody came to me and they said, I sat down, I watched your webinar recording, then I went into your podcast, I watched 3 different episodes, then I've come through and I downloaded everything on your website that was for free.
Yep.
And I'm like, stalker.
Yeah.
And that's what we want, and that's how people are doing it. So if that's how they're doing it, we've got to make sure that we're providing those resources to them.
Why try to fight against the tide? You can rage against, what are the tilted windmills, but you may as well go, well, I understand how I buy, which is lots of research, and then then you engage. That's how most people are working these days. And so why would you think that I'm just going to cold call somebody and make a sale? Look, cold calling has a place. We've got to remember that it's only about getting awareness of your business. So step 1 is awareness.
Yeah.
You got 3 or 4 steps and a messy middle of multiple levels of content and engagement before they can actually buy. It's not like in the late 90s, early 2000s where you would walk them down a sales path and either qualify them out or qualify them in. It's no longer like that anymore. You've got all of that work is being done by your marketing.
Yeah, I love that. I often say that marketing's responsible for the foreplay and salespeople are responsible for the happy ending. Awesome. So what would be the SaaS B2B marketing strategy or process that you would take people through? I think you went through 4 key elements earlier.
Yeah, okay. So we think about it in 4 main areas. And I ask my clients that even if they don't engage with them, they go to one of my webinars, they watch that, and they go, okay, well, just do one of these things. Make sure you're doing some of these things every month. And the first thing is understanding your target market. And this sounds really obvious. Yeah, we sell to senior executives at a mining company. Well, that's fine. That's a demographic issue. What we want to do is talk about the psychographics. What are their values? Because everybody's got multiple options. No business is unique. No business is a snowflake. I'm sorry, everybody. You're not special. But what that does is you are special if you can communicate that specialness.
Yep.
And so you've got to, you do that through values. So first of all, you have to have a value alignment with the client. And once you understand the types of customers you want to deal with, because also all customers aren't created equal. So because I think about customers as an A, B, and C, not A for good, B for average, or C for crappy. It's A for absolute. These are the best quality customers you could possibly have. They get outsized value for the money they pay. They would almost come to you and say, Matthew, we want to pay you more. They don't, but it would be nice if they did. B is for beneficial. Beneficial trade and exchange. We're paying you money. We're getting value. We're happy. We're not going anywhere. C is for, and certainly in SaaS world, C is for convenient. Because so many SaaS businesses think about, I can get 1,000 of these types of people. Well, you might, but those 1,000 will be a real pain in the ass, real pain in the bottom, and they'll take up 80% of your time in customer service. Yep. They pay you 20% of your revenue. They ask for discounts. They frig around. They don't pay on time. They don't refer you. They're not a great customer. And funnily enough, most of the value in the marketplace exists in that top area anyway. So why try to communicate with the mass when your value, 70 or 80% of your revenue is coming from the top 15, 20%? Doesn't make any sense. So know your target market, and then your job is to get known by every single one of them. And that's where, as I said, cold calling might be a valid way to get known because you've got to get known by those people. But none of my clients do cold calling. Marketing, communicating.
In much nicer ways.
Cold email is still a real thing.
Yeah.
Cold email, it's still a real thing. Just trying to get the communication out there, but it's got to be a value. It's got to have an offer.
Connection. It's actually got to be connection and value driven.
Yeah, 100%. So that's the second part, is getting known by everybody, because obscurity is your enemy. So that is absolute fact. If they don't know who you are, they can't buy from you. And the third part is building a relationship. And this is where it takes a long time to build that relationship. And that might be through, webinars or value pieces or guides or the 6 ways people have been able to achieve this through, X through Y and Z, all those types of things that occur inside that value piece, nurturing emails, all of that type of stuff. And the last part is an offer. And so many businesses I come across do all that work. They know exactly who their target customer is. They're really getting known by everybody. They're building and they're nurturing people. They never ask them out on a date.
Oh my gosh. I did a blog on this recently about call to action and how they just don't put the next step in.
Yep.
Like, oh my gosh.
Tell people what to do. I've often sent emails to my database and say at the bottom, reply with tell me more. And I put tell me more in quotation marks. I'm always surprised. I'm always delighted but never surprised by how many people respond back with literally they've cut and pasted tell me more into the email and sent it back to me.
Love it, love it, love it. And make it super easy for them. Make it super easy, because else what happens, people give away all their content for free and people just get scrolled right over every single time, because at the end of the day, most times they don't actually know what you do or who you serve or how you help them.
Correct.
They'll just suck up your free content and they go, you're never asking for anything, so I'll just take it for free.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You're educating me.
Yeah.
You're giving me free consulting.
Yep.
But there's no ask. And so you've got to create that ask. And you ask, and it sort of comes back to the point that business is about creating human connection, and you've got to make an offer that drives a person to move. And an offer might be, tell me more. But an offer could also be, you were talking about your gyms before. You've got to package the same thing up in a different way and deliver, the 8-week booty challenge or whatever it might be.
Yeah. That's so funny. For those of you who are watching, it's because I used to own health, wellness and fitness centres for 25 years, and that's what we're referring to. So
I wasn't just talking about a booty.
No, not this time. No, so thank you so much. That's really awesome. So is there anything else you can share with our audience? So if they're in the B2B space, is there anything else that you could share, any other tips that you could share with them around the B2B space and content marketing in the B2B space or lead generation?
Look, the unsexiest answer for that is consistent, reliable, valuable content marketing. And I know that everybody says that. Gary Vaynerchuk, who, now runs $1 billion organization, who told us 15 years ago in his books, but, I ignored it. I've only really just been doing really consistent marketing for the last 12 months. And in doing that, then I became a daily poster on various socials only in the last 4 months. But what happened is I now get every single week people contacting me to buy, every single week. And so it is not sexy, but it is continuous engagement. Talking the gym example, I can imagine nobody would ever think about going to the gym, lifting weights one day, eating well one day and go, right, why aren't I skinny? Where's my bikini body?
Yeah.
Nobody wants my bikini body. But, where's my bikini body? Because they go, well, obviously that's not going to happen. But so often they're looking for that quick fix, that sugar rush in marketing. Mm-hmm. They go, well, let's deploy one Facebook ad. Right.
It's going to make us rich. We're going to get so many clients.
It's not going to happen. So one Facebook ad. You know what? For us, one Facebook ad might be a series of 15 ads deployed over multiple months and letting the algorithm do the work. And we're in there every single week editing, like you would do with your clients. Right? It is a continuous grind of making it better and better, and there's so many tools you can use to do that. So it is consistent execution over a long time with a consistent message, and you can repackage the same stuff. I mean, I talk about sales and marketing for tech businesses. The delivery of that is all the marketing stuff that everybody else does. The reason I'm popular is because it's consistently communicating the value over time. People build that trust through the marketing. They know who I am. I put case studies of how my clients have succeeded, all of these things, and they go, Matthew can do it. Let's use him.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. So a couple of things here, because we're talking about consistent marketing, and a lot of objection that I get quite often is around, I just don't want to bother people. Like if I post twice a week, I don't want to bother them. I'm like, you're not even going to be seen.
The outrageous ego of somebody thinking that somebody's going to see your content all the time. I'm putting out content every day, and I've got people go, oh, you're on LinkedIn, are you? Yeah. Like, what do you mean? I've got 13,000 connections. I'm putting out content every single day. We're boosting it. We're even paying for advertising to expand the reach. And you go, oh, yeah, I think I saw something of yours. It's incredible ego to think that you actually matter in the world of of anything. So if they're out there running their business, whether it be a charity or whatever, plant business, you are still a afterthought, and you need to continually put it out there. And, I don't want to repackage the same thing over and over. I don't want to say the thing. I had a client, a friend of mine, ex-client, who's a friend now, calls me up for advice every now and then. And he said, oh, well, Matthew, I can't do the same webinar every month. I said, mate, well, you can. You just rename it.
Yeah.
You just put a different name on it. Maybe change one slide. But you can literally, I mean, we know there was a chap at the last conference we're at.
Yeah.
He does a webinar every Wednesday, the same webinar every Wednesday night, the same
100%.
one for a year.
Yeah, and I've had people come to a webinar that's been titled exactly the same name, and they've come 3 or 4 times, and then they've made a call.
Yep.
That's when they've made a call.
Yep.
So I want to go back to the bothering part. So I just want to say you're not bothering somebody if you're giving them value. So if it's valuable to them and you're showing interest in them, you're not bothering them. You're actually helping them. If it's bothering someone, they're not the right person. The other thing is that when you're putting that content into social media, you're training the algorithm. So if we talk about the organic part of that, when you're consistently talking about SaaS and B2B and you put that content out there, you organically are training the algorithm for other people who are showing interest in that content. So a lot of people underestimate the value of that and
Absolutely.
that consistency, which is really important. Awesome. Any other tips that you can think of? I'm going to say one because I was looking at one of your videos and I loved this because I always say when it comes to AI, you've got to put the HI into the AI. And I always say you've got to put the AI like before, during, and after, you've got to put the HI into the AI before, during, and after. And that's human intelligence into artificial intelligence.
Yep.
And you've got a thing where you say it's not B2B, it's H2B.
H to H.
H to H. Sorry, H to H. My South African, because we say H differently, so H to H.
No, so look, one thing I want the listeners and the watchers here, businesses don't buy anything. Humans buy things. So saying that you sell to table making companies might be the case, but the reality is you're selling it to the manufacturer. You're selling to the person who actually does the work. So you create your content around an individual. So many people write emails like they're standing on the soapbox in the corner saying, hear ye, listen to my email. But it's the one person on the computer or on the phone reading your email. And if it feels like a broadcast, you're going to miss the mark. So put in and create that personalization. Businesses don't buy anything, humans do. And it doesn't matter what level of business I'm working with, whether it's a small charity wants to buy a CRM from one of my clients or, the world's largest mining company, it's the same thing. We're dealing with individuals at whatever level they're at. We've got to meet them where they are and communicate that value. So don't think about your business as a B2B business or a B2C business. It's a H to H business, human to human. How do you create that connection to deliver value to that individual? And it depends on where the organization is, you've got to think about the values that they have. So if you're selling to a giant corporation or a government, being better, faster, cheaper is actually a really poor sales offer because it's not their money. Better doesn't really help them in their career, and cheaper is irrelevant. So better, faster, cheaper is not relevant to them. So they might say those things. The mayor might come out and say we've saved X dollars or we've done it faster or whatever it is. But in reality, the Cross City Tunnel in Brisbane is outrageously over budget, and nobody seems to care. So it's not about money. It's about delivering a way that makes sure that if the blowback occurs, that person's not going to cop it. And they're going to actually look good in their career. So if you can cover looking good and covering your ass when selling to giant corporations, selling to small business different, but selling to giant corporations and government, you got to make sure that the person who you're engaging with looks good and their ass is covered because it looks like a good decision. Even if it blows up, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, I think, so many people come and they go, I don't want to create content and I don't want to create content. I don't want to really have conversations with too many people. I just want clients. And I say to them, you shouldn't be in business.
Yep.
Because if you don't care about your customers, if you don't care about producing content that supports them or helps them, and if you don't want to show interest in your customers, well, then you don't deserve them.
Yeah, 100%. And so, the only other way to do that is to not have to engage with clients en masse, is you engage clients from the business model point of view. So a friend of mine, Kirk Drage from Leap Sheep, talks about this a lot when he's helping startups, is how do you bake into the ecosystem, bake into the business model, the shareability. You think about the products that sometimes we use for free. Jira for the technical people out there, Trello, what they've done is they've baked into their system a way for me to share with you my work and then you to contribute to that work, and overall we're better off. And so that's the trust barrier that needs to be bridged, is Matthew giving to Chantal. How does that occur? That's the only way you could really, at a high level. I mean, I've never received a phone call from Canva, but I still pay them every month, right? So that value piece is there. So you can bake into your model that shareability, but still you've got to engage at a broad level with your clients. Absolutely.
And you can automate some of those processes. So once you've got strategies in place and all of that whole overall strategy, you can automate a lot of that nurturing and still keep it personalised. I think that's important to note.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No doubt.
Well, thank you so much, Matthew. You've shared some valuable content today. So where can people find or connect with you?
On LinkedIn, obviously, being B2B or HSH. So on LinkedIn, so obviously Matthew Wyatt on LinkedIn. If you want to see my podcast, I interview CEOs of larger tech companies. One of the last conversations I had was a person who just raised $10 million with a valuation of 50, and I had a conversation with him in the beginning of COVID. It was just him. So he's really grounded out and had some massive success. So that's on the podcast, being the CEO and the salesman. So I interview CEOs, I'm the salesman. And of course, the business is called Tech Talk, TORQUE, like as in engine talk, not as in talk like this.
Thanks so much, Matthew, for joining us today. If you've liked this episode, please go ahead and push the like button. Make sure that you rate us as well, or share it with a friend who needs this advice. This is another episode of the Meaningful Marketing Podcast with your host, Chantal Gerardy. Thanks for listening in. Meaningful marketing is all about you making your marketing meaningful. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please hit that subscribe button. But subscribing means that you won't miss out on future episodes all about marketing and motivation. Stay inspired, stay focused, and make your marketing meaningful.